Hello and welcome to Ouroboros Automotive. My name is Logan, and today what we're going to be talking about is what this channel is about, what my expectations are, and why I'm doing this. So to start off, we'll go back and explain where I came from and why I'm doing this in the first place. So growing up, my dad always had a bunch of cars, and they were generally classic cars, and instead of having one really nice car, he had multiple cars that he just enjoyed driving. And he got them because he enjoyed them. And generally they were niche vehicles. I mean, you're talking Datsun 280ZX, 1972 Ford Gran Torino, 76 Corvettes. All of those have become bigger in the last 10 years-ish and blown up an extreme amount. But they were, at the time, not many people drove them. On top of that, he has the Infiniti M30, which is a very limited edition car. Well, limited production vehicle, let's call it that. And he's just always loved cars. And on top of that, we race circle track. And so we would race at the local 1/3 mile asphalt oval track. And I remember going to the track with my dad. I remember racing with my dad. But most importantly, I remember that my dad worked out of a 2-car garage. My dad had a 2-car garage with old pull-up doors that was solid concrete walls, no real insulation, no heat. On one side of the garage, he had his race car. On the other side of the garage, he had all of his tools and different projects. And that's how it was. Dad always figured out a way to do it. He didn't have a lift. He didn't have high-end impacts and everything like that. He had an air compressor. He had an engine hoist. But I learned how to use hand tools and rely on hand tools a lot more than I ever learned how to rely on pneumatics, which still carries on to this day when dealing with my own job because I'm a diesel mechanic. And I still, instead of going for an impact or an electric or a pneumatic tool of any kind, I always first and foremost start with hand tools. And on top of that, I started watching a lot of YouTube over the last few years, and as it's become big, you see a lot of different channels that they're doing great, cool things, and they're shoving massive engines into tiny cars, or they're doing budget builds, or they're buying a supercar on auction and seeing what they can do with it. But the key thing is that they always have a pocket full of cash and all the tools and multiple mechanics behind them helping them do all this. And it's been kind of demoralizing. I really want to be able to sit here and go, oh man, I really want to build something like that. But then I'm watching going like, man, I can't afford that. Yeah, they're doing a budget build on a Jeep XJ, and they're doing a budget build with a 4-post lift. They're doing a budget build and using purely snap-on tools and 6 ASE certified mechanics. What about those people that don't have all that stuff? Like myself. I don't have a garage to work in. I have friends that have garages. I have my dad that has a relatively nice shop now that he's gotten older and all of his kids decided to move out of his house. And so I've got friends with lifts, and I've got friends with nice shops, and well, relatively nice shops and garages and places where I can work. But I want to be able to walk outside and do work. I want to be able to, I've got 2 small humans, and I want to be able to sit here and go, all right, cool. They're asleep or they're playing, or I let them play outside while I work on my car, much like my dad did when I was growing up. And I want to show people that this is really possible. Like, you don't have to have giant lifts and you don't have to have expensive equipment and everything in the world. You can do a lot of this stuff on your own. And a lot of it, I don't know what I'm doing anyway. I have a Jeep XJ, which I love, and I know a lot about it because I've read a lot about it. And I read and I look and I piece things together and I figure it out. I have a base knowledge, and if I don't understand it, I start reading until I get a grasp on it. And then I go for it. By no means does it ever come out the way I intended it to. And a lot of the times, I screw up, more often than not. I still screw up in my day job. You can ask any of my coworkers. I'm pretty good at it. But it doesn't stop me. I always figure out the answer and I always figure out a solution. So I wanted to sit here and teach people and show people what is able to be done with these vehicles. So we're going to have a couple different series. One going through my Jeep XJ and the modifications I'm going to make with that, which will be hopefully eventually become an overlander is the main goal for that thing. So it's not going to be an overwhelming lift. I'm not going to be doing too extreme of things with it. I'm not cutting fenders off or anything like that, at least not right now. And then I have my Dodge Avenger, which I'll get into that on another episode. And then I'll also have a series called Random Things You Probably Didn't Know, which on that we're going to dive into different niche cars that people don't really know about, or technology that existed way before it should have, or things that most people just didn't know existed. And anything I find interesting. And that's pretty much how it's going to go. If you find something interesting and you want it talked about, message me. Let me know. I'll dive into it. I'll see what I can find out and we can go from there. But the key thing is that not to get down on yourself about this stuff. Don't sit here and let somebody say you're incapable of doing these things, or don't let your own financial situation sit there and deter you from building and making what you want. I don't have a ton of money. I'm never going to have a ton of money. And I'm okay with that. I'm happy. I've got great kids, and I'm going to sit here and tinker with my toys until the day I die. And I did at one point in time have somebody sit there and tell me that I should give up on all this. I should give up on working on things and modifying cars and doing all these things and doing any crazy outlandish ideas, because goodness, my mind will come up with the craziest ideas. Maybe I'll go over a few of them while we're on here. But I'm glad I didn't listen to him, because I could have sat here and given it all up and went and got a brand new car or leased a car or something like that. And, you know, it would have been good. I wouldn't have to worry. I wouldn't have to sit here and debate this and that. And now I have a daily driver, and I have a halfway project, and I have a full project, and then I have a complete monstrosity, which we'll get into another day, of vehicles. But I enjoy working on them. A lot of the times when the project's not going right, I hate it. I wonder why I'm doing it. And I sit here and go, man, I should probably just sell this thing. It's a giant POS. I hate this thing. Why did I even buy this? Why did I get into this? This is way over my head. But I plug along, I keep moving on, and I push forward. And I have good people that back me up and go, well, now I have good people that back me up and go, you're doing good. You got this. You'll be able to get it. And that's what I want you guys to see. I want you guys to understand that. I want you guys to sit here and go out and make your own projects a reality. Even if you're just sitting there working in a gravel driveway. Even if you don't have a garage. Even if you don't have the money for Snap-on or Blue Point or even Craftsman. So, no matter what, with enough time and a big enough hammer, anything is possible. So, with that being said, I hope you guys follow along. I hope you guys do the whole like, subscribe, YouTube stuff. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And I hope you guys build something that you want. Have a good night.